Okay, we are live on the stream. So hello, anyone who is joining the AMA. We're here to talk about BattleBots tonight. Well, really anything from the whole season so far, which has been very exciting. So there's a lot we can discuss, and of course later on I'm going to do the big giveaway and all of that. So I'm really excited about that. Um, I can start talking about some of the matchups for tonight. Obviously, if you've already watched it early on Discovery Plus, then you may know some things. So we're not going to put any spoilers in the chat. But yeah, I'll give it a minute because technically it hasn't started yet. So I want to make sure I let people in. Hey, Norma. Um, yeah, I want to give people a minute here because I started a little bit early. So, but yeah, I am excited to have BattleBots back. I can't wait. Technically, I could have already watched it if I wanted to, but I'm nice. I'm gonna wait until my boyfriend is here to watch it with me so that he doesn't miss anything. So we'll give it a little bit of time. You left the ball game early. Oh no. Yeah, I'm doing a hockey game on Saturday myself, but I don't. Oh yeah, the temperature. It's still not quite. Did I see the fight between redacted and redacted? Yeah, I know. I know. I swear, redacted is going to win the giant nut this year. If I had to say so. In fact, I know redacted won the giant nut this year. Um, yeah, always a lot of fun with redacted. Um, but yeah, so it's officially 5:30, so we can officially start talking about BattleBots. And if anybody else joins the stream, then they can go ahead and do that. So yeah, and I can honestly give my comments on all of these fights because I didn't see them. I wasn't there at that time, so I honestly don't know what happens. But yeah, so just to kind of throw one out there, and if anybody has any questions at any point, yeah, I figured you were working, Tom. I figured, but that's fine. Lurking is fine. I accept lurking on my YouTube stream. But yeah, unless people have questions, I'm just going to talk about random fights that are going to be happening tonight. So Black Dragon versus Beta, I think I'm kind of interested to see what'll happen. I mean, Black Dragon, as we know, doesn't get knocked out, so I'm kind of not really anticipating that happening. And I think that they're pretty fast, so I guess it depends on what kind of armor Beta comes with and which hammer they decide to use, because we obviously know they have a couple. So I'll be pretty curious about that. I mean, I kind of feel like Black Dragon has the edge, but we'll see about that. Cobalt versus Overhaul. My kiddo's going to be real sad. I mean, she's not here tonight, thankfully, to watch it, but she's going to be real sad because even though Overhaul has done really well this season, I don't see that match ending well for them. Cobalt is just a beast. We all know that. They even took it to Minotaur pretty good. So, I think Cobalt's probably going to have that one. Switchback versus Ominous could be interesting. They were filmed on day 4. Oh man, that's crazy. But when you think about it, it makes sense. Filming is only 2 weeks, so like, really, how much can you cram? In there. So yeah, that's crazy. I definitely was not there on day 4. It took me quite some time to get there after that. But yeah, Switchback versus Ominous could be kind of interesting, even though I don't think Ominous has been able to show what they can do at this point. And Switchback is looking much better this season. So, I would lean towards thinking Switchback's going to win that one. Triton versus Glitch. That could be extremely interesting. I really like. I want to see both of those robots do well. So it's a shame that they're fighting each other because I really want to see both of them do well. But that could really be a toss up. I mean, it just depends on which robot ends up looking like the effective robot that I know they can be, and that could really go either way. Um, and then Gigabyte versus Star Child again, like really interesting. Not quite sure how that's going to go. I mean, I don't, Star Child has to be, I think, pretty precise to make sure that it gets those strikes on Gigabyte. But I mean, really, I think it takes one hit, and that could maybe be the difference. So, that's interesting. Jackpot versus Captain Shredderator. Also interesting to see how Shredderator comes back from that last match, being the way that it was. Jackpot obviously is coming off of. I think it's the last match was the Rotator one. I'm pretty sure. So and then speaking of Rotator in the main event versus Bloodsport, which I'm so psyched about. I have been waiting for this match as like one that was on my radar all season. So I'm really excited about it. Yeah, exactly, Tom. Poor Star Child. This season, I I get like there's a whole list of robots that I'm like, I want to see them do well. And like not necessarily that people have done super poorly, but just not kind of what maybe I was expecting or had hoped for. So, that's the sort of thing that I hope that we will see. But like looking at the season so far, I think it's really interesting with this episode in particular, coming back after the break because there aren't a lot of robots in this episode that are like who I think are the top contenders, who I see as really the ones that are going to be battling it out in the end. Um, I think that's within the next week or two that we're going to start to see some of those robots having another fight. And actually, a lot of them have already had 3 fights, like Minotaur and Witch Doctor. And of course, that rematch is going to be the very last episode of the qualifying fights. So we got to have everybody get their third fight in and so on and so forth. So there's a lot there that we still have to see, and I think a lot of really exciting matchups that I am excited to get to witness. And I mean, really, once we get into yeah, I mean, I expect the main event to be a good fight, honestly. Like that there's a reason why it was chosen to be the main event. Like I think Rotator Bloodsport is a very interesting matchup. Obviously I talked to Victor pretty recently and he got into some of like their strategy and what they plan to do for that match, knowing the height of Bloodsport's blade and, how to defend against that and things of that nature. So for me, I will be interested to see if that strategy works and how that actually plays out because they're both very good robots. So I really think that it could go either way. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good fight. It is definitely going to be a good fight. Um, you know, time passes since filming, and we're like, yeah, I remember that being good. Like, there's probably only like a handful or less of fights from filming that I remember in significant detail. Where I can tell you like things that I remember, why it was good or what have you. So, of course, we're not going to talk about any of those yet. I will be very excited to talk about them once we get into the round of 32 and they actually air and I can, talk about that stuff. But for right now, um, Tom thinks about Rotator every time he's at work. That is well, I mean, like that's interesting. And yeah, he's sponsored by Stryker, the medical equipment and everything. and yes, Stephanie, you saw all the fights, so you know that they're going to be good. I mean, I'm hoping, like, after no BattleBots for 2 weeks, I'm hoping for a really great episode with a lot of solid fights, so I can just be really excited about BattleBots again. That's my personal goal out of watching this tonight. So, I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, I 100% support OMG moments. If we could get some OMG moments during this episode, I'm gonna be pretty happy with it. And we've had a lot already this season, to be honest. I still think that so far this season is like one of the best, if not the best seasons of BattleBots that I've ever seen. At this point, 2019 was my favorite season, for a lot of reasons, but yeah, it would. I mean, it's going to be tough to beat, but I feel very strongly that this season could do it. So we'll just have to continue to see how everything plays out, because we have a lot of season to go. Like, we're already into. I, I'd have to double check and see how many episodes are left. I feel like it's like the halfway point, maybe a little bit over, but there's still a lot of season to go. So really, really exciting stuff. Yeah, I'll have to, like, about a little over a month from now, I'll be in Norwalk. So there's going to be a whole weekend where I'm preoccupied with other robots and not BattleBots, but I'm looking forward to that as well. Um, so yeah, and if anybody, has any questions they can think of, feel free to post them in the chat. And I'll try to answer. I think once we get to maybe about 5 to 10 minutes to go in the AMA, I'll announce the winners of the big drawing. So I'm excited about that because this is the biggest giveaway that I've ever done. And I'm really excited to have been able to do, like, gift card type of things, because then you can get whatever you want, and it goes back to the teams, and that's what my show is all about, is supporting the teams. So the more that I can do that, then that's what I'm going to continue to do. So yeah, support combat robotics. It's awesome. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think what I expect to be the best fight tonight, aside from the main event, because obviously I expect that that's going to be a good fight. But I would say, you know, I think that Triton and Glitch has some potential. It depends on what happens. I really like both of those robots. I'm a huge fan of Glitch, and I'm so sad to see that they haven't been able to do much this season as opposed to last season. But I'm like, at some point, I just want to see them turn it around. So we'll obviously see if that happens tonight. Yes, I love Glitch a whole lot. I love the design. The guys on like, Kyle is one of the nicest people ever. I say that about a lot of people, but there's so many nice people in combat robotics. Like, no joke, there are so many amazing people. So there's going to be a lot of people that I say are, like, really nice, awesome people. So um, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple ones on there. Well, yes, Tom, I am also a huge fan of Shay. Shay is just, like, one of the most amazing people, and she loves glitter. So I highly support anybody who is a fan of glitter. So yeah, like, Shay's awesome. I, I mean, there's very few people that in BattleBots that I would have anything bad to say about, being honest. So, um, I really expect the Cobalt and Overhaul match to be a destructive one. I mean, sorry, Overhaul. I feel like that's what's going to happen. We'll have to see. Shay did try to kill Mouse Mouse, and that is unfortunate because nobody should try to kill Mouse Mouse. In fact, I I don't know if I'm going to get to fight against Mouse Mouse at Norwalk, but I'm going to do my best to not completely obliterate Mouse Mouse because I would be sad if I did that. So we'll, we'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, like it's I think it's going to be an exciting night of BattleBots, and it's been an exciting season. I mean, I know that the rest of the season's going to be awesome, but we've had a lot of great stuff. Like it's nice to see. Stephanie doesn't want to kill Mouse Mouse either. No, you don't want to do that. I don't think anybody really wants to do that. I mean, maybe some people do, but it would hurt my heart a little bit to do that. Yeah, I mean, this season, as I've said many times, is so interesting because you have a number of robots who have traditionally not had the best records in the past that have really good records and look amazing. And then you have teams that normally are like undefeated or close to it who don't have the best records. And it's really surprising. But, like I've talked about this, it could be with the field being only 50 robots and there being so much less of a gap between the best robot and like a robot that maybe isn't as strong, like the gap is not very big. So I think that probably has a lot to do with it, including all of the innovation and improvement. I mean, a robot like Claw Viper has an insane amount of motivation to really soup up that robot, make it amazing in every way that it can be, and just go out there and kill it. And I'm so excited to see that. In fact, I'll have to double check the schedule, but whatever the next match that Claw Viper has, like, which is against Hypershock, I need that match. I need that match in my life. Have you finished your beetle? I don't know. I'll have to ask David Jin if he's finished my beetle, which I assume it won't be hard to do since it was already made. But I would love to learn more and be able to help my daughter make a beetle in the future, because that's what she wants to do. So I do hope to learn enough to be able to do that. But I will not finish my own personal beetle within 5 weeks. I need a little bit more time than that. So yeah, like there's so much to be excited about truly in combat robotics right now. Robo Games is next weekend. I know a lot of people are either participating in that or just going to be going as a spectator. I'm super jealous. I really wanted to go, but for some reason it's not that easy to facilitate a trip to California, specifically in that area. At least not for me. I don't know, Stephanie, if you've ever tried to fly from Chicago to California, but it doesn't seem to be that easy, at least to make it in the realm of affordable. So that's something that I'll have to check out for the future because I definitely would love to go to Robo Games next year if they do it again. So I really hope that they do it again, because the more really big, robust robotics events that are out there, the better, I say. So I just need to find a more efficient way to get there. Um, yes, Norma, I know you are still trying to figure out how to get to Norwalk. I don't know. If you could find a way to go to the May one, it seems like that's the event to go to. There's going to be a lot of really good robots. I mean, there always is a lot of really good robots, but there's a lot of buzz about that event in particular. So it's yeah, just fly and get a rental car. Exactly. Well, is there like any public transit that goes from JFK to Norwalk, like a train or something like that. I don't know. Like I don't know what transit into New York adjacent areas looks like, but that would also be helpful, I'm sure, because getting a rental car, I mean, it's not too hard, but it's still, it's a pain. We're gonna have to do that when we go to Norwalk because we're flying into Hartford and it's a little bit too much to get an Uber. Um, hey, Jupiter Robotics, thank you for joining. Um, well, Norma, we don't want any life or death situations. I think that would not be ideal. So, but hopefully you can make it because I'm really excited about going. Now that I've been to BattleBots filming and now I'm going to go to Norwalk and I have to hit up all of the events. So, um, yeah, I mean, who knows, Stephanie? Like, Evan Arias could be just driving by randomly, and then you might be able to bum a ride from him. I'm not sure. Hey, Glenn. Hey. Um, yeah, and yeah, Tom. I mean, 5.5 hours is a pretty decent drive. That's kind of a ways. I mean, if ever I go to see my family in Ohio, it's about that much. And yeah, Uber, but depending on the distance, it can be kind of expensive. I mean, typically I prefer to keep my Ubering to within 5 miles, and if it's longer than that, then that can get a little bit pricey. But yeah, so it's gonna be awesome. Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have travel options. I think everybody just has to kind of go with what's going to work best for them. And since I'm traveling with a mini bot, then I have to be a little bit more cognizant of the ways that I decide to travel. And I think, a rental car is going to be the best for us in that situation. But yeah, Connecticut drivers are awful. Well, that is good to know. I mean, I can tell you, I'm sure that Stephanie can concur on this one, that I go to Chicago fairly often. And like for me, I don't even like to drive in Chicago because people scare me. Like the people that live there and go on those highways all the time, I think they're just used to it and they will just like cut in and out of cars. They don't even care. Like I don't even know that they look. So for me, it's very dicey driving in Chicago. So we'll see. I don't know that Connecticut drivers can be much worse, or Massachusetts drivers for that matter. But you never know. I hear things about New York drivers too sometimes. Where people are like nobody knows how to drive in New York. Um, yeah, Stephanie, I prefer to not drive a car in downtown Chicago. That's what's going to happen this weekend, though, because the hotel that we're staying at to go to C2E2 is downtown. So we just got to make it work, and we're going to park, and then we're just not going to drive until it's time to leave. So that's the way that we're doing it. But I'm excited for that as well, even though it's not robots, but it fits in with the theme of my robot that I'm going to be driving in May, which is Naga. And if you haven't watched Avatar: The Last Airbender and you don't know what Naga is, I recommend that you check that out. But yeah, so New York drivers are fine, but you have to match their level of aggression. I believe that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know that maybe I can match their level of aggression, but if it's not a competition, I don't know that my aggression rises to that level. We'll have to see. Very, very interesting. But yeah, and I've never been to the New England area before at all. So I'm excited to go. I mean, I've heard there's a lot of good food, and obviously the robot fighting is the number one reason why I'm going, and no one knows how to drive in Florida. Eh, I mean, I've been to Florida. I was in Florida last year. I didn't have to be the one driving, but it didn't seem as bad as what I'm used to at some of the big cities up here. But then again, if you're talking about downtown, I definitely wasn't driving downtown. It was all around the Disney area, so that's that might be a little bit different. Um, but yeah, it smells like happiness and dreams. That's pretty amusing. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, and I'm probably going to spend the next month or so driving any kind of RC or Hexbug type things that I can to get my driving down, because I recognize that the bot that I am going to be driving in Norwalk is a very good robot, and I want to make sure that my driving is as close to the level that it needs to be in order to not look dumb when I when I'm there. Um, Obviously, like, it's a learning process, and I'm going there to have fun, and hopefully, I mean, I'm sure that I will. I have no doubt about that. But um, would it be cool to win a match? Yes, it would absolutely be cool. Um, oh, when is Michigan mashup? I hadn't even heard of that. I need to get like up to date on all of my local robot events to make sure that I know when things are happening. April 22nd. Okay. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, because I mean, any driving experience is helpful driving experience. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'd kill some batteries in the test box. I mean, that's another way to do it. You know. Well, I don't personally have any spare ones. I'm not sure what all is going to be there, but I don't want to kill too many of them, I guess. So and I'm curious, for those that don't already know the result, who do you personally think are some of your favorites to win the giant nut at this point through the season? Like, who do you think, based on what you've seen so far, is going to do it? I can't say because I already know. So, um, well, yes, I'm sure that I could drive pause, but I think, like, not that it would, I think it would be helpful to some extent, but I'm sure it's going to be very different than driving a um, two-wheel drive drum. So, we'll have to see how that goes. And yes, Norma, I see that you have the zipper across the face, because we're not saying anything about what we know about BattleBots that hasn't happened yet. So yeah, we have to kind of keep it close to the vest and not give anything away, because for some people it's certainly more fun to be surprised when things happen. I would say that's probably the case for most people. I just have accepted that I already know things, and I'm just going to have to live with that. Um, oh, that is kind of weird, that you can only turn when the legs are up in the air. But I mean, it's a neat thing to kind of get used to, I suppose. I mean, I'm sure you're very familiar with like how to make that work because it's your robot, but yeah, that would be an interesting mechanic. Sawblaze, even though he killed Paws. Yeah, I'm sure, knowing JMO, he at least feels a little bad about killing Paws, because anybody with any sort of heart at all would feel bad about that. So, yeah, that's that's it's a good choice. There's definitely a handful of robots that are just slaying it this season, and Sawblaze is one of them. but it will be interesting to see how many robots go undefeated for the season. Because we know that there's some Bled, you called Copperhead to win last year and would say the same again. I mean, that's fair. I think that there's probably some robots that would give them more of a challenge. But yeah, I mean, they're gonna win a lot of those fights just based off of that weapon. I mean, I obviously love it because I it's not exactly like Minotaur, but obviously it's a drum spinner, and it's very powerful in that same way. So of course, like I'm a big fan of Copperhead. Um, yeah, I mean, Cobalt is also they're looking good this season, which is great because when you have any time when a robot like you're changing the drivers or changing the dynamic of the team and like who does what, like that's always going to affect things. But I think in Cobalt's case and really the whole RDC team's case, they had a lot of motivation this year to kind of win for Brent Riker, because he wasn't able to be there, and like doing something for a friend that's like sick or going through something, that's pretty heavy motivation to just go out there and do your best and win. So, I mean, like they also look really good. Lost to Minotaur, but I mean, like it's also Minotaur. So, and everybody knows I'm a little bit biased when it comes to Minotaur. I always think that they're going to win, but like that's just that's just me. But yeah, no, there's a lot of strong teams, Sawblaze, Copperhead, Cobalt, Minotaur, Witch Doctor. Like there's a lot of teams that have looked really good this season. So I mean it could be a few people's game. I'll even throw Claw Viper in there. Obviously, like I've become a major Claw Viper fangirl and I want to see them do well. Norma, you said after 2 days of filming, you picked Riptide to win it all. I mean, other opinions aside, like obviously it's a powerful robot. It's very destructive, so I definitely would understand people thinking that they're going to win just based off of the robot. There may be the question of does anybody like want that to happen? That's a whole other story situation. But yeah, that the robot is certainly capable, I think. So um we'll we'll continue to see how that goes, obviously. Does anybody have any other like literally anything you want to know? My opinion on BattleBot stuff, whatever. Like I will answer any questions that anybody has within reason. If you ask me what my social security number is, I'm not going to answer that question, but within reason, I can answer some questions, obviously. I was just like double checking the fight card because I was trying to remind myself of something. Um, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's going to be interesting. I wish I could pull up all of them for the rest of the season. That would be like a lot for me to look at, but to see what's coming up. No, Tom, I am not going to provide my credit card number. I am sorry. Yeah, it's so funny because I work in my day job is customer service related, and sometimes people just want to like give me their card number, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like I didn't ask for this. Why are you just giving me this information? I don't know why anybody would do that, but it's something funny that like always makes me laugh. Um, so yeah, yeah. And nobody even like I don't think anybody's ever asked me that, do I have a day job? What do I do? Yes, I work in customer service, and no, that should not surprise anybody. Just based off of the fact that I love to talk and my overall personality. So yeah, been doing it for a long time, but now license and registration, please. Ah. I don't know that I would make a very good police officer. I think I wouldn't be too good at that. Who was my pick at the beginning of the season? That is a good question because it's, I have to, when I think of beginning of season, I have to look at like before I ever went to filming, because I don't think that I can like see everything that I saw at filming and then say, okay, who's my pick to win? Because like I know who's going to win. So I think that too heavily influences my opinion. But like prior to going to filming and knowing all of the things that happened, I would say that based off of last season, I think that probably the top three teams that I felt were most likely to win this year were Witch Doctor, Sawblaze, and Minotaur. They were probably my top three that I was like, I will expect one of those teams to win the next year just based off of last year solely alone. So that would be my answer to that. And thank you, Glenn. That's so nice of you. I try, I would, there's aspects of my show that I would really love to be able to amp up the quality, and all things being honest, some of those features within YouTube, it won't allow me to utilize them until I get to 1,000 subscribers. So my goal right now is to get to 1,000 subscribers so that I can utilize those additional tools within YouTube, because I want to continue making this show better. I'm glad people love it, but I want to keep leveling up. And obviously like I've done a lot of that throughout the time that I've done the show. And no end game. I like, obviously end game is always a contender. But it's more that like, okay, they've won a giant nut, they've won a golden bolt, like sure they want to, keep doing it, but I always tend to base it off of motivation. Like who is going to be the hungriest to want this? And I think that when you win, in some cases it can kind of make that hunger a little bit less, because like you've done it and sure you want more, but like not as much as somebody who's been trying for years and has been so close and not quite gotten there. Like that's where I'm like, this team's gonna do it because they really want it. And like Sawblaze, Minotaur, and Witch Doctor are three teams that all fit into that category and all had just like really heart-wrenching things happen last season where like it's like, oh, that's so and like it just gives them more motivation to me. That's my personal opinion. Who wins the giant nut, Tombstone or Bite Force? I mean, like if that were a thing this season, I'm still always going to go with Bite Force, because I mean, like that robot was a crazy beast. Just really crazy. Season 8 rumors, season 8 confirmed. I mean, like it sounds like there's going to be a season 8 from everything that I've heard. But whether that happens this year or whether that happens in 2024, that I think that may be the question, because I think everybody is aware that F1 is a thing. And like that's heavily dictating a big piece of, when BattleBots can do this, because F1 is right by the BattleBots arena. So it's, I definitely haven't heard any kind of confirmation, but as far as when it films, yes, I absolutely 100% intend to be there. And I intend to be in the pits and do interviews in the pits if that is in any way possible, which I have no reason to believe that it won't be. But yeah, so that's absolutely my intention. The guy who broke his hand punching the box. No, I didn't hear any story about that at all. And a 2-season order when they confirm season 7 and 8. That I'm not sure. I had thought that it was, but again, I'm not like, I do talk to Greg on occasion just to try and get like updates and things like that, but I couldn't say with 100% certainty as far as confirmation on season 8. I mean, it seemed like it, but again, the when filming is actually going to happen is very up in the air. So still nobody knows. I'm sure that, like as the teams always say, that a lot of the fans will probably find out when the teams find out, or pretty close to it. That's the way that it seems to work. But obviously, like, I want there to be a season 8, and I would rather have filming happen sooner than later, just because I would be excited to go back. There's a lot of cool stuff to see. And yeah, Vegas weather in the summer. Yes. So there is a reason why I live in the Midwest. Does it get hot here? Yes, but like, I my one sister lives in Arizona. She's always telling me, "Oh, you should move here," and I've said no, thank you. A lot of people have been like, "Oh, you should move to Florida. You should move to California." Like, no, thank you. I'm pretty happy in the Midwest. It would probably take a lot of motivation for me to want to live elsewhere, because also cost of living is crazy cheap here compared to a lot of other places. So you can basically get a mansion for what you could probably get like a basic house for in California. So that's there's lots of reasons to be here, and I can always travel, obviously. Um, Paris hotel was $40 a night for season 6. I mean, that's pretty cheap. I certainly didn't pay $40 a night for Vegas filming this past time. That is for sure. Not that it was bad. I mean, I thought that it was pretty reasonable, but I guess there were some other events that were going on in Vegas at that same time, and like because there were so many things that were driving the tourists, then the hotels are going to charge higher rates, to kind of go along with that. So, wasn't really surprised there, but if you want to go, you just have to try and make it work. But yeah, I mean, like, I definitely plan to be at season 8, because continuing to go to robot events is, I mean, that's part of a great way to like continue growing the show and doing new and different things that I can with the show. And like, obviously, I always say, please tell me like what you want to see, like what you think would be cool and get people to watch it. What's your favorite Gen 1 Pokemon? That's a great question, Tom. I if like I will hate myself because I'm questioning this, but I'm pretty sure that Dratini is Gen 1. And so that would be my answer. Or Eevee. Like, again, if people ask me that question, like, who's your favorite Pokemon, generally speaking, depending on when you ask me, I'm going to say Dratini or Eevee, of which I have stuffed versions of both. So that definitely, it's really like, it's like Minotaur and Sawblaze, where I'm like, I like them both. I don't know if I can really decide. I might say this one time or this one another time, but yeah, it's kind of like that when it comes to Pokemon. So, and a big reason, like, Dratini is just, it's cute and it's a dragon. And I love dragons, but a big part of why I like Eevee so much is because Eevee, it's all the evolutions. Because this one, really like brown, plain looking Pokemon can become all of these different things. And like, that's what I like about it. I kind of see that as like a motto for life, that, if you want to do all of these things, you can do any of these things that you want to do. And like, that's why I love combat robotics so much, because I kind of see that the same way. Like, you want to build a robot, you want to build a crazy robot, like, do it. Why not? Um, coughing. Well, like, coughing. So I always associate coughing with Team Rocket, for obvious reasons, but that's funny. That's pretty funny. I figured it would be a cat Pokemon, Tom. I figured you had to choose something that was a cat. I'm also a really big fan of Litten. That's not Gen 1, but like, it's a cat. So I've gotta choose that, obviously. So, yeah, we've got like 17 minutes left in the AMA. So like I said, I'm going to wait till a little bit towards the end and I'll announce the winners of the contest and all of that good stuff. If anybody just joined, hey, we're talking robots and whatever else random topics people want to talk about. Yeah, it's funny because in the Norwalk Discord, I'm like, how easy is it to go off of whatever random topic that there is? It's pretty easy. Do I have a cat? Yes, I have 3 of them. I think that's partly why, like, I've bonded with Martin Mason, because the cat thing. We adopted one, and then we were like, she seems lonely, we need to get a friend, and so we adopted another one, and then I was like, and now we have 2 cats and there's 3 people in the house, and I really feel like we each need to have our own cat. So now we have 3 of them, and I think that's the right number at this point. If we had more, so by the state laws in Indiana, that would be considered a cattery. And I don't want the liability that goes along with being a cattery. So I think I'll stick with 3 at this point. And for anybody that's curious about that, my cat's names are Alita, which is off of the movie that you may be aware of the girl with like the really big eyes. And that's why we named her that, is because she has really big eyes. And then our second cat is Griffin, which was named after the actress Grey Griffin, who plays Azula in Avatar: The Last Airbender, along with many, many other voice roles that she does. And that was mainly because the cat is gray and she's also feisty. And then our third cat is Chewy. And the reason that her name is Chewy is because we got her toothless. And she has no teeth. She had all of her teeth removed because she had stomatitis, and it's very painful for the cats to have teeth in their mouth when they've got that problem going on. So they removed all of her teeth. So now she doesn't have them, and we named her Chewy. So yeah, those are my cats. Waiting for the sequel. Yeah. Are you talking about Alita? I'm guessing. I hope that they come out with a sequel to that. I really enjoyed that movie. And how many cats does it take to become a crazy cat lady? Well, I don't feel like I'm a crazy cat lady, so apparently more than 3. 4 might be the magic number, and that's why I'm like, I don't think we want to go for 4 here. And besides, like when we go on trips and things like that, we have to basically like set up a whole deal for them to like make sure that they have food and they have like enough litter boxes and stuff. So I think if we went beyond that, taking trips would be a bit of a challenge. I wouldn't want to leave all of those cats in the house because who knows what they would be up to. So yeah, the next trip is going to be Norwalk, and like I said, that's going to be the big one. We're going to see how many interviews I can do in between actually competing. If there's 7 hours between matches again, I might get to do quite a few interviews, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But I'm excited for the challenge to kind of pull double duty as being in my interviewer podcast role as well as a robot driver. So we'll see how that goes. Despite having a cat robot, you don't have any cats. Yeah, cat allergies are the worst. I know a lot of people that probably would have a cat if not for allergies. But yeah, I mean, they're, like, not that I'm not a dog person, but, like a lot of people are like, oh, dogs are really good companion animals. And like they can be, but it's just, cats. I don't know. I don't know what it is about cats. They just, they're there when sometimes if you want them to be, and then they can just go and do their own thing and they don't need constant attention. So I think that's probably part of it. 92 beetles signed up right now. Yeah, that's a lot of beetles. We'll see if that sign up eclipses the previous month or the previous event? That's a good question. Um, Two cats. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's good to have at least two, because it's weird. I didn't know until recently that cats, like, it's hard for them to be the only cat. Like, they really like to have that companionship. So it's good to have at least two. Only two beetles are yours, Tom. Yeah, yeah. That's a lot already. I mean, considering that there is more than a month to go until the actual event, that's kind of crazy. Um, so yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, maybe just everybody signed up early and you're not going to have as many like later signer up people. Except JMO, please bring Silent Spring. Um, I want to fight you, please. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it's funny because I was like, I don't want to fight Droopy, but I'm like, yeah, JMO, bring it on. Um, uh, two cats, and your parents have two cats. Yeah, four cats. It's yeah, I mean, that's a good amount of cats. Not gonna lie. Although it's weird because none of mine, like, they go through periods of time where they want to be friendly, and then most of the time they're just like meh. Like, it's weird. Cats are very fickle. You never know what their attitude's going to be. But yeah, it's like it can be tough having to take care of an animal. I mean, we had to think about that, like the logistics of it. Okay, like how hard is this going to be? Thankfully, with cats, they're pretty self-maintaining, so you don't have to do too much. And that's like part of why. Yeah, Tom, if you want to fight Droopy, then I hope that you get that fight. I hope that you do. Yeah, it's like, so I might be the only one that I'm like, I don't really know. Like, I understand people are saying that that's like a really good robot and stuff, but I don't really know much about it. But it's just based on reputation. I'm like, eh. But we'll see, like, whoever I get matched up against. I mean, I'm just gonna be like, cool. I'm gonna do the best that I can and try to have fun and see what happens. That's really all you can do. Um, and then, yeah, I hope I don't have to fight you either, Stephanie. Like, at least not at first. I don't want to fight my friends for the first fight. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, just to make sure that I do, so that I don't like forget to do that. We have about 9 minutes left, so I'm going to announce my winners for the contest, and then of course, like, I'll post this up in the morning just in case those folks aren't watching it, so that they can see all of that good stuff. So first, I'll announce the those who won a outside of the box poker chip, because there were 5 winners for that I also drew. And I'm so sorry if I butcher anyone's names, because I just go off of what I can. But the 5 people who won an outside of the box poker chip are Sherry Kinney, Christina Callie, Lindsay Miller, Bailey Thurby, and Rihanna Taylor, all won an outside of the box poker chip. So congrats, and I'll have to get your information so that I can get those out to you. And the grand prize winner, of the basically $100 worth of robot swag. So $50 to robotsruinmylife.com, which is awesome and has swag from a bunch of teams. I highly recommend Ripperoni merch. Like, uh, I'm biased. I love Ripperoni. And then also $50 to the Malice store, which Bunny has some of the best merch in BattleBots. And it's not just $50 in merch, but it is truly a one-of-a-kind keychain, with a code on the back of it. So it's pretty awesome, I have to say. But the winner of that $100 total giveaway is, I'll see if, I don't know if this probably doesn't show up. Aaron Corbelo, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Corbilo. But if you're watching, congrats. I'll have to get with you to get your information. But I'm so excited to have been able to do this giveaway. Like, and thank you again to Team Malice and also to Tony D'Ambrosio from Robots Ruin My Life for getting in on this. It's exciting to be able to give something like this away, not only as a really great prize, but to be able to support the teams. So, if you haven't bought merch, please buy merch, support the teams. It's really, really important. And yes, Norma, it is a very, very cool prize. And I hope that I'm able to do more giveaways in the future. I would love at some point to hopefully be able to get some kind of like sponsorship or something like that that would enable me to do these giveaways more often. Because people may not know this, but the vast majority of what I've done, either upgrading the show with like my equipment or things like that, or like investing in the trailer, whatever the case may be, or like prior giveaways, the majority of that is I just pay for it, because I love combat robotics and it's fine. Like if I'm just going to buy BattleBots merch for myself with that, if I didn't put it into doing giveaways or like cool things for everybody that supports and watches the show. So I might as well give something back to the fans. So hopefully at some point in the future, as the show grows, that's something that I can like be able to do more of, to get some kind of outside support to enable me to do that. And yeah, Tony is super awesome. Like really, really awesome. I'm going to be doing a Team Omega interview here in the near future. So that should be really exciting. After this, I'm going to be doing a fun interview with the Doomba team that will be out on April Fool's Day. So that should tell you something about probably the way that episode's going to go. But I'm really excited about it personally, because that is one of the most fun teams in BattleBots for sure. But yeah, I'm going to have a lot of really great stuff coming up. You still have a lot of teams that I need to reach out to, get added onto the schedule to do interviews with. And then once the BattleBot season wraps up, then I'm going to focus my attention more on NHRL, probably do some of the like games and things like that I've been talking about doing, with the teams, where we have like little competitions and, fun things like that we can kind of do over the summer. And then depending on when filming is, we'll see. But if it's an extended period of time, then there's a lot more that I have a little bit of flexibility to get creative with, the kind of shows that I'm doing. So anybody that ever has ideas, please share them, because I'm pretty open to ideas of things to do. I like getting creative, and I like, like having new people on the show so that we can talk about robots, because I think everybody has such a unique perspective and a lot to say. And, that's what I want to keep doing, and bringing some unique stuff, to the show. So we have about 4 minutes left. If anybody else has any other questions, please make sure that you get those in, as I'll have to make sure that I wrap up so that I can prepare to talk to the Doomba team and all of their craziness, and then get ready to watch a new episode of BattleBots, which is very exciting. So, I hope that if people have not watched yet, that you watch when it starts at 8 o'clock, if you don't have Discovery Plus, or if you do have Discovery Plus, obviously, interviewing some of the fans. Yeah, I want to do more of that. It's funny because when I did my fan episode, I included a couple of interviews with fans at the event, and it was a really impromptu thing, because I hadn't really thought about that part in advance, mostly because I wasn't sure what I was going to be allowed to do. That wasn't very clear to me initially. And so I had the opportunity where like security seemed cool with me doing that. And so I did do a couple of little fan segments there. But I definitely will do that at Norwalk at any opportunity because I think that it's, yeah, Norma says the best episode. I am sure that Norma is a little bit biased about that being the best episode, but I mean, it was definitely a really good episode. It was exciting to get to have fans on the show, especially some of the biggest super fans talking about what they love and getting to share their perspectives because I think it's neat to hear from the fans too. Like ever we all love talking about robots no matter what. So that's obviously what I'm going to keep doing, and I'll continue to kind of change it up and get different perspectives because I know everybody loves me having the builders on and the teams, and obviously I'm going to keep doing that. But there's so many other people involved, from the fans to people involved with the production and like so many people. So I really want to keep switching it up and getting those different perspectives just for people that want to hear it because it's pretty cool. So we have like 1 minute left if anybody wants to get any last questions in, and then I will close it up. I must give a lot of information during my episodes because people already know the answers to all of the questions that they might ask. Yeah, you're welcome, Glenn. Like I'm excited. Like I think I want to try and do more of these and hopefully can get more people to jump in and participate because I think it's good to like have these and have kind of a dialogue and a discussion and things like that. So I might try and think of some like specific topics and stuff like that we can do these discussions on, and people can give their thoughts and I can kind of share my opinions back. So we'll see. It's definitely a good idea. But thanks everyone for joining the stream. And be sure to check out my April Fool's Day episode with Team Doomba on Saturday. And we'll see everybody next week.